So yeah, the replicator just keeps giving me potted plants.
But what are you ordering?
Well, not potted plants. I'm ordering like food and drinks and stuff like that.
Right, because that would have really been your first mistake.
Yeah, no, I don't get me wrong. I went first thing I did went to sick bay.
Yeah.
Just went in and went. When I say, "Can I have a trifle?" What do you hear? She repeated. So it's no aphasia or anything like that on my end.
Yeah.
But the worst bit is, right? I feel like it's rude to give them back. I feel like that's re-gifting directly. If you handed me a gift, I opened it up and it was a nice pot plant, and I went, "Oh, thanks," and then gave it back to you immediately and said, "Can you take this apart on an atomic level and make something else?" I feel like that's rude, and I just don't want to get in the replicator offside.
It is the Enterprise equivalent of "Did you keep the receipt?"
Yeah, I've asked that replicator to make a lot of things. I don't want it telling anybody about any of them.
No.
Not that swing. Not that sex aid, and definitely not that that 3D model of Guinan.
No, you're right. That sounds awful. So, I've ended up with 148 dildos, which is weird because I only ordered 4. So, how about you get all your potted plants? I'll get this big bag of dilds. We'll head down to the shuttle bay, chuck them out into space. What we'll do, right? You throw the pots. I'll see if I can land the dildos in them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Nice one.
And just to be sure, before we do this, that's like safe, right? There's nothing that can go wrong with that force field.
No, I've never heard an example of a Galaxy-class starship in which the force field around a specific part would turn itself off for no apparent reason.
No, it's most technically advanced instrument in the galaxy, so it's ever been built. It's got to be fine.
Let's go and play Pot the Dildo.
Podcasts. A Frontier. These are the voyages of the podcast Captain Slug. Its ongoing mission to explore strange new episodes, to seek out new jokes and new references, to split infinitives that no one has split before. Captain Slug, Stardate 36. It's ongoing voyage. It's real fucking hot. So don't expect this one to be sparkling for. Anyway, Mark, how you been?
Oh, mate, let me tell you. It's not all that hot up here. It's all right. It's nice. It's fine. Oh, mate, it's nothing. I'm fine. Nothing's been happening. My foot hurts a little bit.
Alright.
Because I was down in London, wasn't I? And I'd done a lot of walking around in new shoes. And I got a blister, and the blister still really hurts because I'm old, and now my bits don't fix themselves as well. And also, Laura and I went to an Airbnb recently, and they had a hot tub. And I got out of the hot tub, and I done something to my foot. Now it didn't. Same foot with the blister, right? Now it didn't hurt as such. But it's weird. It's like it's as if I've torn something. It's something in there has like shredded, and it's like a tingly feeling that I get when I move my foot to certain angles, which is weird because it doesn't hurt, but it registers to my brain as that's a thing to avoid. Stop doing that immediately, right? And I don't even know if I can go to a doctor because I think that now it's just a thing where I'm in my 30s. This is a thing that has happened. That's now just a new thing I'm going to have to deal with forever.
If you ever want a little boost to your ego, I highly recommend having a serious medical condition. Because as I was going through all the treatment for approaching, I regularly had doctors go to me, "Well, for a young man such as yourself, given that you're still young, we'd like to do this to you." And it's like, I'm 38. The last time I was called young, I was visiting the World Trade Center, to give you an idea of how long ago that fucking was. I also had blisters. After doing all of Glastonbury and being absolutely fine, I went to see Pearl Jam in Hyde Park, and I managed to get blisters on the exact same spot on the base of both of my big toes.
Ooh.
And let me just put it this way, Mark. You and everybody listening to this, you don't appreciate how much work your big toe's doing until it's taken out of the equation.
Does a lot of gripping.
When you suddenly does a lot of if you're about to slip and fall, that big toe, that's just pushing you back gently. It's doing a lot of work. And it really fucking sucks. And then I also saw Duran Duran. I've in the last couple of weeks, I've seen 3 Bond themes performed live.
Nice.
And now I've noticed that that's happened. I'm thinking that I'm going to have to try and see every band that's got a Bond theme that I can.
You only find that pretty difficult these days, man.
Yeah,
so
no,
you saw McCartney,
yeah,
Duran Duran,
Billie Eilish.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Yeah. So I can't get Chris Cornell. Obviously, he's gone.
Yep.
There's a lot that a lot of the older ones.
Gladys Knight.
I'm not gonna get
my favourite one.
I'm not gonna get Carly Simon.
No.
There's a lot of them that have gone bye. I'm not gonna get Louis Armstrong. That's off the list. But I could get Adele. That's one.
That's possible. Apparently she can't do it anymore. Apparently she can't sing it anymore.
Can't she?
No, Laura was telling me that when she recorded it, she was pregnant, which does things to your vocal acuity, and it means that in order for her to be able to properly do that, you'd have to knock her up first. So
look, as a vegan, as a vegetarian, I'm against the enforced pregnancy and stuff that goes on in the dairy industry. But if we need to keep Adele pregnant at all times to keep her at a singing peak, let's just do that.
This is the kind of shit that's going to get played when this podcast needs to be played in a court of law. I don't know why, man. I don't know why they'll be arrested. Speaking of feeling old, the last time I got ID'd was like a month ago. I was in New York and I was at a cop bar right beside Ground Zero at the Twin Towers. And the ID'd
Is that why? Is that the cops like to drink at the site of their greatest failure?
Wow. But I suspect that it was just to find out where I lived. Like, I don't think they wanted to know if I was old enough to drink. I think they just wanted to have it on record that I was in there.
Yeah, was that a "you don't sound like you're from around here, buddy"?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I need to go that you were Scottish, and I'm imagining there being cops in America, 4 or 5 of them then felt an overwhelming need to tell you that they're Scottish because their great grandfather once saw a haggis.
Well, it has happened before.
Yeah. Never get anybody from America claiming to be English, do you? It's always like the countries that have got positive reputations globally.
Yeah. It's bizarre, that, isn't it?
Yeah, you never hear anybody go, "Oh, I'm originally from Sussex." Like something that's.
Yeah, but
nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, no, we've yet to see a wasp pride.
Yeah, when is
the flag of which would just be yellow and black, I guess.
When's White History Month, Mark? That's my question. The answer, of course, being all months.
Yep. Specifically
even
December.
Black History Month is very specifically White History Month because it wouldn't have been. A lot of Black history wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for white people.
What?
You can't really talk. We can't talk. I'm just saying you can't talk like slavery and the civil rights movement. Okay, They didn't happen because black people were left on their own, right?
Is this the commencement speech that you're going to give on whatever supermarket you're opening on Martin Luther King Day?
It's actually, I've been asked to do a specific tribute for the Chadwick Boseman Memorial Black Panther release.
That's coming out this year.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. We haven't heard anything about it. Laura reminded me the other day when I saw Thor.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's all right. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Okay, cool. That's all I need. But yeah, is it called Black Panther 2 or is it just called Wakanda Forever?
Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Okay, right. Okay. I want the bloke who's in charge of the Gorilla Tribe to be the new Black Panther.
Yeah. I want Martin Freeman to be the new Black Panther. I feel like it'll attract a new audience. They'll be coming along with a black and yellow flags. bringing entire church groups and school buses. Honestly, Marvel will make billions. I don't know why they're not doing it.
Oh, right. So anyway, Star Trek.
Yes.
Yes, a right episode. This I quite enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. So, it's the one where they have to turn the ship off and on again, which I recall is a very deliberate thing that they wanted to put in there. It's not like by fluke that is the answer. Like they just thought it would be funny if they went, well, what if we have? I can't wait for the episode where the fix is they have to make a big space hand and just hit the Enterprise.
We need to get someone to get the nacelles and just take them to a slightly different part of the outside of the Enterprise and hold them out at arm's length and go, is it a better signal now?
I feel sorry in a way for like young people because like technology now just works, and they've never had to develop the thing that I used to just call the knack. Like to give you an example, if you're not familiar with the knack, I once had a DVD player that would start skipping and stop playing the DVD unless I lifted up the front of the DVD player with 2 fingers and held it about a ½ inch off the ground for 3 seconds and then let it go and then it would work again. And I have no idea how I worked that out.
Yeah, I actually thought about that. I actually have quite a lot to say on this subject because I thought about this during the episode because there's a part of the episode where they hail a Romulan ship and there's some interference in the signal, but the interference manifests itself as like the static that you used to get on video players or on TVs when you hadn't quite got the manual aerial into the right position.
Yeah.
Like the kind of like snow stuff, right? Which there are kids being born now who will never ever see that, like apart from in pop culture. And I think it's a bit of a shame. Well, first of all, what's really strange is that technology in the 24th century wouldn't act that way. But the reason that they had to do it is because that was such an important visual shorthand for this signal is a bit interrupted that now literally just only exists as part of pop culture. It's the same thing as the phrase "hang up" or "dial a phone."
Yeah.
It's just a thing that exists as a shorthand now.
I saw a thing online once about a teacher who took a floppy disk into the school and they showed it to the class and one of the class went, "Oh, that's cool, you 3D printed the save icon."
But I think you're right. Sorry, just to finish that point, just when you were talking about the knack, well, I remember that. Like, I remember having to get the aerial in like a certain way and hit things in a certain fashion.
Yeah.
And what's quite weird again is that with the way that technology works now, like no one would ever think about hitting their iPhone to make it work better, right? So again, like generations to come, people are going to be watching Doctor Who going, "Why is he kicking it?" To like, how come Han Solo says, "Oh, only I know how to get this thing to work," and then he fucking punches the Millennium Falcon? Like, what? Because at the time as well, they might have robot friends, like they might have like cybernetic mates, and those films are kind of retroactively seen upon as sort of a cybernetic hate crime.
If that they should not watch this episode. Data gets put through the fucking ringer. If you've got robot friends. Also, I was going to say, in addition to like the static being wrong, like that was like it was an attempt to like guess at what the future might be like, but missing the key information that they couldn't have possibly have known. And there's another thing in this episode that falls into that thing, which is, Mark, I don't think any black person in the future is ever going to be christened Donald. I don't think that's going to happen any more than I think there's ever going to be a period of time where suddenly Jewish people have a fashion for naming their child Adolf. I just don't think.
I don't know, man. A couple of 100 years. I mean, and there's some Irish people out there called William. Do you know what I mean? Irish Catholics called William. So I think given enough time, I think you're right. I think Adolf is out. But, I mean, you know, no, I think Donald will stick around because Trump, we won't be getting any more Trump Jacksons or anything like that, right? Or like Trump O'Learys. No, we might get a couple of them. But I think that's the name that will be remembered.
The number of new Donalds being born, like in Scotland, which is the home of the name, went to 0, because that's like, which is like, shh. So like it's like we like your granddad and we do want to name the kid after you. Unfortunately for you, your name's being used by a white supremacist.
I knew a guy called Donald once.
Was it Trump?
No, he was some bloke I used to work with, but he was from the islands at the very north of Scotland, and he would tell me about his like how his grandparents, like, their first language was Gaelic, and they didn't actually speak really that much English. Like, they couldn't even speak conversational English, so we're never really able to come down and visit him in Glasgow. It was a bit of a tragic story, but he was one of these people that, for his age, like in his 20s, was like too athletic, and I couldn't be friends with him.
There's an Adolf Hitler Hill in America somewhere, and it's not named after that Adolf Hitler. It's named after a different, separate Adolf Hitler, who like spent his entire adult life like trying to do like charitable work to.
Oh.
He genuinely believed that he was going to like rehab the name, and it's like, dude, unless you're going to like Thanos snap everyone back.
That's the killer, isn't it? Like I really respect that man's tenacity, right? But I think the person I respect more is the presumably council person after he died, who was like, look, I know that we all laughed at him, right? I know that we all took the piss of him down the pub, but to his face, like, while he was alive, but let's face facts, that guy has done quite a lot. Like, the local, I don't know, cerebral palsy, like, charity has made, like, quite a lot of money and been able to do quite a few breakthroughs. Like, this guy actually did do what he set out to do, and I think he deserves. Now, we cannot build a statue, right? Because the shorthand would be, did you know that over in Colorado there's a statue of Adolf Hitler? And that's not attracting the type of people that we want. No, what we should do is just give him something. Give him a hill. No one's coming to see a hill because it's an obstacle. Like, it's not a thing that you can come and look at. It's a thing you have to come and do. And you have to be quite fit. So I say we give him that. We can't give him a mountain because that's like too much respect. So, and we certainly can't give him a forest.
If I was trying to rehab the name Adolf Hitler, which I'm not, I want to be clear on that, despite what you trademarks you might have heard that I filed. If I was trying to rehab that, one thing you'd have to do is obviously he must have donated money to he must have donated a lot of money to like build a synagogue at least once, right?
Oh yeah.
And does that synagogue then have like a little plaque on the wall saying this synagogue was built due to a large donation from Adolf Hitler? Brackets, not that one.
Jeez.
Because you're paying by the letter on those. So do you leave off not that one, or do you just shorten it down to AH, or do you just put Hitler? Or you can't put Adolf. There's no many ways you can dance around it. You can't be a Hitler or Adolf H. It's two quite distinctive names that Hitler had, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a good thing he wasn't called John Smith. That'll be that. Out.
Yeah.
So anyway, this guy Donald.
Yeah.
He shows up.
Yeah, he's the captain of the sister ship for the Enterprise, the Yamato, which is named after a Japanese war hero.
Yep.
I think. I vaguely recall looking this up when the ship was mentioned previously, but it's so. Were you aggressive about that the Federation is completely in the wrong in this episode?
Yes,
because he's like followed some clues he's found scattered across the universe, and he thinks that he's found the planet of Iconia, which is like a lost civilization. To give you some idea, I did some Googling about the Iconians. They have been mentioned in Star Trek loads. They have never appeared on screen. They've been a huge part of some of the Star Trek Online game.
Mm-hmm.
But to give you an idea of like how old they are, In Star Trek Voyager, there is a plot point where the Borg have run into a species that are like too powerful for them, and that species is called Species 8472. That's like in their numbering system. The Iconians are Species 47. So, like, yeah, they were like one of the first 50 or so species that like the Borg ran into when they started existing, whenever the fuck that was.
Oh, we know when that was. They've managed to extrapolate it. So the Borg actually aren't as old as you think they are. They've only been cracking about since I think it's like our 16th or 17th century.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. That's not... So they probably didn't meet the Iconians, they just sort of like stumbled across references to them.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? That there's just a lot of stuff lying about.
Yeah, and this guy's decided that Iconia must be this planet in the neutral zone, where you're not allowed to go. And without telling anyone, he's just gone there. And then the Romulans have turned up and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And turn up. And Picard has the gall to be like, what are you doing in the neutral zone? You're not allowed to be here. And they're like, fucking same question as you prick.
Yeah, exactly. I do like that. Because the start of this episode is actually really tense. The camera movement in it's quite interesting. It's a bit shaky cam, and we sort of do a following shot of Picard as he walks out to the bridge to be like, we need to go into the neutral zone because we need to go and check out this shit, man. We need to make sure they're all right. It's dead interesting. It's quite fun. But then it cuts to Donald, whatever his surname is, Captain Donald, up on the view screen.
Duck, I think it is.
Duck. Yeah, right. Yeah, he wasn't wearing any trousers.
We don't know.
No.
He never stood up.
And he says, "Listen, Jean-Luc. First of all, we all know you're the funniest captain in Starfleet, but this isn't the time to be cracking jokes. Now, we're fucked, right? Everything's good. The power doesn't really work. There's one of the shields, one of the force fields that keeps the atmosphere inside the Enterprise mysteriously disappeared on Deck 17. We're still trying to investigate that.
I've lost an entire engineering team. Like, it's like, what?
Yep. The shielding around the warp core seems to be acting a bit funny. But listen, you just keep doing what you're doing and we'll get back to you. And Picard is like, do you want us to evacuate everyone off?
He's like, it seems a bit soon for that.
Nah, don't worry about it, man. Once I get the engineering team back from space, where they were ejected after another force field gave out, I'm sure we'll be fine.
Yeah.
See you at bridge.
And then the very next thing is the ship explodes.
Yeah.
And then the Romulans turn up, and like Worf is like, bet it was them, which is like, and he's wrong, but fair point. But also, it's obviously not the Romulans. It's so obviously whatever this was.
Yeah.
But
do you think, by the way, I wrote this down. Do you think that this episode shows us how Picard done the Kobayashi Maru?
Yeah, actually, I'd say so.
Yeah.
It's a fairly good indication of that I could see working really. Yeah. Oh, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, no, that's because it's a ship in the neutral zone. Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Danger.
Fucking hell.
So Picard obviously just went straight for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say I like when they're going through the logs of like Donald's like files on how he found Iconia. It's got one of like the best like low-key humble brags where it's like, I found like a Rosetta Stone that seems to map the exact position, and it was useless at first. He goes, and then I realised I wasn't accounting for 200 millennia of stellar drift, and as soon as I had that, it was basically easy.
Yeah.
But they're talking about Iconia. One thing I love in this episode is it has this weird line that Picard says about because Wesley comes to ask him about it and is like, who the fuck are the Iconians? I thought they were made up And Picard's like, well, they thought China was a myth until Marco Polo discovered it. And I was like, I'm pretty certain the Chinese were aware of its existence.
Yeah, we thought that was really baffling as well. Although in the extended version of the episode, that line actually goes on longer. It's China was thought to be a myth until Marco Polo travelled there and brought back the best fucking book ever written.
Here's my rule on discovering places, right? If the place that you've discovered has already invented the printing press, you didn't discover shit.
Nah.
You just met some people.
Yeah. You went there.
If you can go there and buy a map already, right? Okay, it's no, fuck off.
So, did you notice as well that this is the first ever Earl Grey hot?
Yes, it was. And then instead he got served the pot plant.
Yep.
And Wesley, like a fucking cunt, is like, didn't you order a tea, sir? It's like, you fuck off, Wesley.
Yeah.
Because Wesley's actually in the, to be like, oh, how comes everyone's okay with the Yamato blowing up? And they're all like, well, we're not, but we've got stuff to do, Wes, or we'll blow up.
Yeah.
So get your head in the game. I love that that's the Starfleet rules, is like, you're allowed to be distracted by trying to get your end away with a shapeshifter. That's fine, Wesley. But if you want to spend a second grieving 1,000 dead, get the fuck back to work, mate.
So they fly. The Enterprise flies to the planet that the Yamata was investigating, and a probe comes out and scans them. And the probe basically uploads the probe. Because they spend a little while trying to figure out what the fucking deal is with the probe, right? And I don't think they ever really answer that question, but I have a theory that the aliens, the Atranians, what were they called?
Iconians.
The Iconians, right? I reckon they were spacefaring, and they had ships, and so these probes were actually repair devices.
Yeah, I think it's a software update.
Yeah, it's a software patch. That they're put into the Enterprise, but because their technology is superior, that software patch uploads.
It's overriding everything and making everything stop working. And yeah, it's like, so the Yamato got it like zapped directly, and they've picked it up by beaming over like the logs from the ship, and that's how they've got it. Because when they get there, right, there is a scene in this episode I fucking love, which is Geordi getting the shit kicked out of him by the turbo lift.
Yeah.
Because, okay, this is something that a lot of people might not know. The turbo lifts on Star Trek don't just go up and down. They go like left and right as well. Because, of course they do. That's how everybody... Because the ship's the size of a city. You can't get in the turbo lift, go up 10 floors, walk all the way along to the like neck bit, go up. So,
have you ever tried... to get from the Northern Line at King's Cross up to ground level without going up any steps? It's one of these things that I would describe as being technically possible, but that's what I imagine moving through the Enterprise without turbolifts would be like.
Yeah, I the other day had to go to Aldgate East from where I live in South London. Now that's quite a lengthy journey. It took me about an hour, and I would say a solid 35 minutes of that was me changing at bank. District line to the Waterloo and City line might be the longest underground walk you can do in the City of London legally.
Yep.
Yeah. So, do you know? Have we had mentioned it of my favourite bit of Star Trek, like technobabble, the inertial dampeners?
So the inertial dampeners are fairly ubiquitous across sci-fi.
Yeah.
I understand them from Stargate.
Yeah, it's the idea that you can, if you want to accelerate up to like warp speed, you have to have something that makes sure everybody inside your ship isn't liquefied.
Yeah.
So they have those in the turbo lifts, and it's been turned off. So as it's going around, it's just flinging Geordi every which way until it arrives at the bridge and literally like flings him out.
Yeah.
Even though surely that should definitely be, he should have come up. He's not.
I don't know.
Like the bridge is at the top, isn't it?
It's gotta be. Yeah.
And the decks are numbered going down. I don't know. Oh, we'll have to check this out.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
but he gets thrown out and he's like, blow up the probe.
Yeah.
And it's one of two. There's a great moment later on where Geordi is getting like electrified by like a control panel, and Data goes over to like grab him and throw him away, and clearly accidentally throws him way too hard, and then goes over to like check on him, and like Data, like Geordi's like, what happened, Data? And Data's like, we can only speculate. But I gotta say, I like the little, when they beam down to the Iconian planet, I like the little room that they go into, because it reminds me, it's like teleporter door and everything.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like a puzzle from Myst.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that 90s aesthetic where it's like, oh, you can't. And I love that it's like all alien world. Like, so there's like the Enochians didn't like, they just turned up places and no one knew how.
Yeah.
And they have like a door, and it's like alien world. Definitely the Parthenon. Alien world.
California.
And I like the fact that it. And then deck of the Enterprise, deck of the Romulan ship, which makes sense, really.
Yeah.
Because you want it to bring up any nearby ships in case somebody showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super cool, man. It kind of reminded me about like Stargate. Like in Stargate there are several very advanced races.
Yeah.
And one of them kind of has shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in. It's a running plot point through Babylon 5 as well.
Right.
That they have to like seek out these like older, incredibly powerful races.
Yeah.
Which has my favourite joke ever in an American science fiction as a result of that.
Right.
So they there was a point when Babylon 5 was only being kept on the air because of the deal they had with Channel 4.
Aye.
Was like keeping the show going, so they had like a real respect for the English fan base. So they put in like a British character, and at one point he's trying to communicate with these like ancient elder race who've been around for ages, and he transmits something to them, and they respond in their own language, and then they have to translate it. And he's like, oh, so and the second in command on the ship's like, oh, so they understand our language, they just refuse to speak it. And the British guy's going, oh, I didn't know they were French. Which is, I like that Michael Straczynski, who's an American with no connection to the UK.
What a
was
fucking
like,
tan joke. That's so funny.
Yeah, just like, there's no reason for an American to make that joke other than like, oh, you know what, make the British please. They'll just shit on the French for one line.
I like that. That's tickled me, that has.
Yeah. Something else I like in this episode. Picard goes on the away mission because he has the specific, like, subject matter knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's an historian.
Yeah, this is the first time he mentioned specifically that archaeology is a hobby.
Yeah.
And fuck you, John Luke. How do you have like the thing that defines most people who are archaeologists? That's like their thing.
Yeah.
Like that's like Indiana Jones has a whip, a hat, has all of these adventures all over the world. But when you describe him, you say, well, he's an archaeologist.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's that big a thing. And for Picard, it's just like, well, that's what I do when I'm not captaining a starship.
And it's really bizarre as well, because he makes out that this is going to be really helpful on this away mission. Him, Worf, and Data beam down, and the first thing he does is get Data to fucking explain everything to him. Why couldn't have just done that?
Look,
I think Picard just wanted the glory of being the first person to find that species, because we're told that, right? We're told that this species is supposed to be a myth, like it's supposed to be a legend. No one has seen it in modern, like, Star Trek universe history. So Picard gets to be one of only 3 people who ever gets to see it, because the last thing he does before he leaves is blow it up.
Yeah, it's a real that belongs in a museum moment.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, we have to blow it up because it's near to the Romulan side of the neutral zone, and if the Romulans get better technology than us, they'll like wipe us all out. And it's like, well, you better fucking hope that there's not any other planets that were home to incredibly powerful ancient civilizations, you know, just in Romulan space.
Yeah.
There's loads of planets like this. They run into one every other week.
It's actually genuinely surprising that this one didn't come with a giant space head.
Yeah, very disappointed about the lack of a space head. I was hoping we'd get at least we've accessed their. I've seen the design of them, like from the online game. They look real cool.
Yeah.
As well, they're like kind of demonic and insecty, and it's weird, and it's probably well beyond what they could have done. So actually, maybe it's good they didn't show up. But
yeah,
why take Worf? Picard is a subject matter expert. Fine, get that. Data, always handy to have data if you're like in puzzling stuff out. Okay. This is like it doesn't play to any of Worf's strengths, except that he's the only crewman who can lift data. That's the only reason I can see that he's there.
He might have to fight a giant space head.
Or threaten a shapeshifter once she's turned into an old woman.
Yeah. I don't really understand the giant space head as a computer interface. I genuinely think it would be the worst way to surf the internet. Because you'd just be sitting there with a keyboard putting in inputs, and then the giant space face would just be telling you what you're supposed to be looking at.
Well, no, but I like the idea that the giant space head is there and then fades away. And it's like, oh, what are you searching for? Let me show you. Oh, porn again.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like
Did you masturbate whilst being watched by a giant space head?
Yeah. Eventually I'd get used to it. It would be the judgmental looks that I would get from Alexa. It would put me off the hardest.
Do you think that's specifically why a lot of men have been designing AIs to be female? Like, I don't mind Cortana watching me wank. Master Chief would be more of a struggle.
I think you may be honest on that. And you really don't want something... I don't know, man. Like, having like a little cartoon robot or something, would that feel better? Having like a Clank from Ratchet and Clank, would that feel more comfortable? I don't know, man. Because the thing about those objects is, in order to get round, well, not the Uncanny Valley, because they're not even in the Uncanny Valley, but to get around the idea of making them appear more human, we tend to make them look cuter.
Yeah.
So that could be
and cuteness. Well, cuteness as well, specifically in like design, it's specifically baby-like features, big eyes and stuff like that. So that's just troubling. R2, I think R2 would be a good interface. I could wank in front of R2 without feeling bad, because you could just be like, oh, he's just a flip-top bin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas I'd like to, I wouldn't enjoy doing it in front of C-3PO.
No.
But I feel I'd need to do it so C-3PO understood his place.
The robot from fucking Lost in Space.
Oh, what, that fucking thing?
I could wank in front of a Dalek. For sure.
What? Okay. This is where we get into the great. So Dalek, fine. I agree with you. I've got no issue there. Cyberman?
100%.
Right. Okay. Roy Batty from Blade Runner.
Nah, he's probably my line.
Yeah.
He's probably rhyming off some quite exquisite poetry. They would really be putting me off, to be honest with you.
Oh, you don't like poetry porn? Which is, as I said it, I was like, that doesn't exist. And then I thought for a second, I was like, no, that definitely exists.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
There's 100% people banging to Keats or whatever.
Or just reading poetry naked.
If that's, by the way, if that's not a thing, and you're listening to this and you're a woman, have that. Get an OnlyFans going. Make some bank.
Or if that is your thing, play on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All power. All power to you.
One thing I did like in this episode had a proper like point and click puzzle style moment.
Aye.
Where they work out that the language is similar to 3 other languages that they know.
Yeah.
So Data can extrapolate backwards what he thinks is a language. And then he tries the manual override and opens the space door. And he tries another button and he gets electrified. So I don't think Data really knew what he was doing. No. I think he was more bullshit than Troy usually is.
I don't know, man. Maybe they're words for this is the button for the space door and this is the button for the electrifying. Maybe the symbols are really similar. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's a common. People make fun of people all the time for slipping up between those two. It's like, oh, I meant to say such and such, but I said, oh, classic mistake.
That's it. That's it. Quite often, fried chicken is just mistaken for chicken that's just been thrown out of a door. A lot of people get salmonella on that planet.
It was both of the difficult thing was both of them were delicacies, so they'd often be on the menu next to each other.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want fried chicken or flung chicken?
Door chicken. Yum yum yum.
I like when they beam down to the planet, Picard does a captain's log supplemental. It's like, fucking focus up, John Paul. We haven't got. Do your note taking when you get back.
Also, Laura pointed out that him viewing the personal logs of Captain Donald somewhat proved that all the logs have a video component as well.
Yeah. And there's no such thing as a personal log.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless that gets unlocked automatically when he dies.
I think it's more that
imagine
the captain's log is about the state of the ship and the state of the crew, whereas a personal log is about things to do just with sort of yourself. Maybe.
Well, they specifically ask. He specifically does search for like Romulan or Neutral Zone or Iconia.
Yeah.
And comes out and goes, and given how horny Donald Varley was for Iconia, he's pretty lucky that we didn't see him shirtless.
Yeah.
Just jacking it, going, oh, Iconia. Keep watching me, robot. Keep watching me.
Gonk droid from the Death Star.
That's basically a toaster.
Yeah.
No problem. Did the extended universe ever come up with what they were for?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but those droids are some of the most popular.
Yeah.
Like weird side characters in Star Wars.
Yeah.
In Star Wars Battlefront 2, you would use them to refill your ammo.
Oh,
if you ran close to one, your ammo got refilled.
Oh, that's nice.
I remember that.
It's not too bad.
Smiley Joe was working in engineering.
Yes, he was. We saw him over his shoulder because we didn't know he was being watched.
Yep.
As well, which is lucky because it's lucky there was a disaster going on because he really slacks off. He's usually just got Reddit open.
Yep.
On his computer. I don't know what subreddits would exist in the future. He only makes fun of him because when he has to put the head on, it smells of Michael Dorn.
Yeah.
Because he wears it all the time. By the way, can I say something? Right, Troy's like, everybody on the ship's tense. We need to come up with like something for them to do to take their mind off things. And Riker's idea is have them prepare to evacuate the ship, which I feel like that would be one of the most stressful activities.
What we're going to do there, Will, is we're going to take that idea and we're going to put that on the panic-inducing pile, right? That's not the no pile, right? But it's certainly fun. It's not. It's one step beyond the maybe pile.
Like, are you feeling a bit stressed out? Yeah. If you're stressed out and you're listening to this, here's a suggestion on how you could relax. I want you to imagine that your home is about to be destroyed, and you have 10 minutes to select which items you can carry with you and are important enough to save. Hope you haven't got any pets.
I mean, maybe in certain circumstances, like maybe if you were like if it was a regular day, then yeah, maybe that's one of the things that Will just does for fun, just prepares to evacuate. Because like, you know, I guess quite often we will have the thought just before we go to bed, what would be our last meal before being executed, right? Which. The thing is about that thought experiment is that yes, it is quite pleasant because it does make you think about what is something so wonderful for you to consume that it would bring you a sort of peace on the day before you were killed by the state. The problem is in that fantasy you're still being killed by the state. It's still quite a stressful thing. Otherwise you would just think, what would I really like to have for my dinner tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a Bill Bailey line about that, which is like, goes, I saw that swimming with dolphins was ranked one of the top things to do before you die, which is quite quite a morbid way of asking what is otherwise quite a cheerful question.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to add before you die.
Yeah.
Because if I said to you, what are some things you want to do, right? I would assume before you die is implied. Not. I haven't got a whole list. I've got. Let me get me wrong. If it turns out there's an afterlife, I do have a list of things I do want to do after I die, but they all involve certain celebrities and disgusting sex acts.
Yeah. The weird thing is the ironic part of that is that yes is quite a morbid question, but the implications of the opposite question are even more horrifying. What would you do if you found out you were never going to die?
Or I could put off swimming with the dolphins.
Yeah.
Until there was like one left. And then I'll be like, I swam with the last dolphin.
Until they've evolved into like the new humans. And swimming with one was like shagging it, and its version of a hot tub.
That's my most feared loophole in the wishing for immortality. So if I've given a lot of consideration into how to wish for immortality so that you don't get screwed. One, okay, you're going to need to include with that some sort of short-range teleport, because you don't want to get buried under rocks forever.
Yeah.
That's no good. Two, when you stay forever, you want to specify starting now. You don't want to get put back to the beginning of the universe.
Oh, I've never even thought of that one.
Have to wait for everything. So genies are cunts.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, if you're a genie and you're listening to this, I just want to bring this up, right? The reason if you screw everybody over with their first wish, so they have to waste their second wish undoing the fact that you screwed them over with their first wish. No wonder nobody's got a third wish free to let you go.
Yeah.
Right? Just cut the bullshit. You're already granting wishes. Give people some nice stuff, and someone will probably let you go.
I'd say that there's more movies about hero landlords than hero genies.
Every fantastical creature represents some fear,
Yeah.
or some primordial hate. Are genies just like landlords and lawyers combined by the human psyche?
Well,
Those fucking pricks.
I think so, because landlords are essentially just genies, isn't it? Because it's the kind of the good with the bad. Like, I wish to live in a house with a mortgage, and a landlord is like, haha, you can have both of those things, but it's not necessarily your mortgage.
Man, fuck landlords, but also fuck genies.
Agreed.
Yeah.
O'Brien Watch.
Why wasn't O'Brien just asked to fix this? He was there.
O'Brien does, again, my favourite thing that O'Brien does in Star Trek, which is just being in the transporter room to be like, you know, having me beam you over there is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
He's like, well, can you beam us back up? And he goes, well, I don't even know if I can beam you down.
Yeah.
Everything on the ship's going wrong. I could beam you 40,000 feet inside the fucking rock. But yeah, have at it, Captain. How many captains
half
do you reckon?
Of O'Brien's dialogue in Next Generation is just the words rolls eyes and I don't know.
How many high-ranking officers? I'd say low key, right? Transporter chief is the most powerful role on any ship.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek technology goes wrong so frequently that you can just be like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, no, he's dead.
Yeah.
I reckon you can get away at least with one murder every, 12 months.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think O'Brien does do that.
Yeah. Fully agree.
Well, he's in there for so long, so he doesn't move up for so many years, because he's like, it's got to be a plum gig for me to give up the murder.
Yeah, I've got to be able to roll my sleeves up.
And then they get to Deep Space Nine. It's like, well, it's the closest to the Cardassians who I really want to murder. I want to murder them the most. Yeah, and like I said, the big solution at the end is to turn the ship off and on again.
Because they do that to Data.
Yeah, Data turns himself off and on again, because that's a thing he can do.
Yeah.
I love when he's like listing the symptoms of like his things, like, oh, I'm losing the ability to. He's talking like Shatner.
Yeah.
His mobility's down, so he can't move. Oh, and then he just casually drops in. Oh, and I'm blind.
Yeah.
So Picard like has to explain to him like the lights that he can see and have him like talk him through which ones. But they also like they destroy the tricorder because they like if any of this falls into the Romulans' hands. But then like Data's mind gets wiped. It's like wouldn't you like
Keep one.
Yeah. Try and keep some.
Just in case you find it again.
Yeah, it's groundbreaking technology. Yeah. It's like it could change the world. Like, I'd keep my hands on that.
Just because you don't want Romulans to have it doesn't mean you can't have it.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the thing as well. Why is it so bad if the Romulans get that if you also get it?
Yeah. Especially if you have it first.
I mainly think what happened there is that Picard saw the magic teleporting space door, and his first thought was, "Do you know what? This is a threat to? My job security."
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
I don't get to sit in that big comfortable chair if these fuckers can just walk through anywhere. No, not letting that happen. This is Star. This is the reason this is Star Trek and not Stargate. Yeah. We don't do gates, we do trekking.
Yep, exactly. Plus, and then he's trying to justify it in like a tribunal. Like, plus, what would you fit through there anyway? It's just a door. It's just, what are you going to go to a distant planet and build a new starbase and just bring everything through a door-shaped hole? Like, just get fucking construction crews like the fucking Chuckle Brothers, just to be carrying panels through there, and that's the biggest they can make it. Because if the Arconians could have built a bigger door, they would have. I always said to whenever me and Captain Donald were in the pub, and I was done doing bits for the day as the funniest Starfleet captain, I would say to him, "Tell me about the Arconians, Donald," and he would say, "Well, their most famous saying is that if we could have a bigger door, we would have built one." And I don't quite understand what it means. I think it's something about empathy and about a society coming together to ensure that everyone has what they need provided for. But now I realise it was about a literal door that they just couldn't get any bigger.
Have you ever heard? So obviously you're familiar with the Bible quote, it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich person to get into the gates of heaven.
Yeah.
There is a subset of Christians, wealthy ones, who believe that refers to specifically a gate in the city of Jerusalem that like was called the eye of the needle because it was a very thin gate and you had to take everything off your camel to get it through, rather than just accepting that they go like it's like, oh, so I can take my stuff through afterwards and put it back on, so I can be a bit rich. It's like, no. And I love that mental gymnastics of like, this is very clear, but I've decided to interpret it in a batshit way that means that I'm not sinning.
Yeah. Still, 191 million in the Euro Millions tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll be having that.
Yeah, but I'm going for it.
Yeah.
It's got to be, someone's got to win.
I'll be fucking. I'll be going to Jerusalem. I'll be making that needle bigger.
I want to live in a country where there's not. I want to live in a country where there's a 0% chance that Priti Patel's going to end up as Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And it's not this one.
Nope.
Yeah. But yeah, good episode.
Turn it off and on
good
again.
Classic Star Trek. Yeah. Bit of fun. Yeah, it got some really. I looked online to like see if it had like any like buzz around it when it came out. It was rated as like a 4 out of 10 episode, and I feel like that was done by people who hadn't watched season 1 of TNG.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah, agreed. No weird admirals.
Yeah. No weird admirals. Romulans show up and they're not up to anything. The Romulans are in the right for once. That's the interesting side note of this episode.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So next week is the Royale.
Ooh. Oh yes.
Ah yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, listen to that.
Nice one.
Bye.
All right. Bye.